Nice. Jessica, Mona, are y'all there? I'm going to try to unmute you. Jessica?
Hello.
Hey guys, how's it going? Good. Well, we are going to get started in 1 minute. Thanks for joining us. We had about 3 minutes of technical difficulty, but we're about to get going.
So sorry about that. I thought you could hear us, but apparently you weren't there.
Good.
And Mona, are you there as well? And if you guys are ever muted, you're welcome to type in and let us know you're here. Hey, Aaron, how are you?
Yamastegi's, very nice. Big trip, guy. We were following you on Facebook. Well, good. I say we get going then.
Yeah, sure. Aaron, are you there? Or is it Kalina? Oh, they're not connected. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that Jessica?
Yes, this is me.
How are you?
Hey guys.
Good. You might want to mute me later. I have my kids in here.
Sure. Yeah.
We'll mute and you guys can type into the thing and we'll take it off if you need us to.
Okay. Is it where it says questions? That's.
Yeah. I think so. Let me.
I wrote hi in there already.
Oh, there you are. Okay,
There you
so
are.
I'll keep that expanded. Sorry, this is usually we do Zoom calls, so our dashboard is quite expanded right now. I usually like to keep it simple, and this one's high tech. So
Yeah, I usually use Zoom as well, so this one's kind of new for me.
we wanted to be able to record it so we could send it out afterwards. So hopefully it works out after all. Let's see. All right. I'm going to share our screen here if I can figure out how to do that. Just a minute. Can y'all see my screen or no? Not yet. My screen.
I do not. Well, I see let's get started. The audio will begin automatically in listen only mode.
All right. Now do you see the presentation or no?
Oh, yes.
Yay. Okay, great. And can you still see us? Not that that even matters.
Yes, you're at the top.
Okay, cool. All right. Again, this is just our new thing. So thanks so much for joining us. It's great to see you. Sorry that we've had a couple minutes of technical difficulties. We're still figuring it out. But thanks for being here. And this will go out to those of you that aren't with us but registered, and those of you that want to share it, you'll be able to. So I'm Jamie.
And I am Jim. Together we have 18 summers. I know we know some of the people here on the call. We will keep it short and sweet tonight, but a lot of people are reaching out to us either individually by email or on the page that we have and asking about the craziness of the holidays and if we had any tips. And I think we've learned two different things. And that's the holidays can either be a time of great anxiety or great enjoyment. And maybe no one's that extreme right now, but I can honestly say I think we've had both extremes. Whether it's been anxiety or it's been enjoyable. And so the last 2 years especially, we've really tried to hone down on what works and what doesn't. And so we want to keep it, again, short, simple, and sweet, and really top shelf some things that I think are going to be easy for you to understand and easy for you to apply. So we're going to be going through 5 simple steps that we found really have some meat to them. And after we go over each one, we're going to give one simple action step. Because one thing I like to do is, I know some of you know my saying, a lot of us are choking on content and starving for execution. It does really no good if we have a good conversation, but you're not able to actually apply these things. So what we're going to aim for is just an understanding of the concept, a buy-in, and then how to put it into action. Sound good?
Perfect. So we'll be together about 45 minutes. We're going to go through our 5 steps. This is our top 5 that we could think of as there's probably a million great things, but if we gave you a million, then you'd have too many things to do. So top 5 steps, what you can expect from us while we're together. Jim sometimes likes to tell long stories, and I've been known to be a little woo-woo. So interpretive dancing, no, just kidding. But we do have our own styles. Be patient with us. We'll get it back on track if we trail off. So again, 45 minutes. If you don't get what you need from us today and you have questions or you want more, just reach out. We love to chat and visit. We've got lots of things that we love to help with, and we're happy to do so.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So the goal today, simplify and strengthen the enjoyment of the holidays. Anxiety should be gone, and it should be simplifying and strengthening. So that's what we're going to go over today. And I think you should lead us off because you're better at that than I am.
So I have a question for y'all. So in your, or maybe we can put it in the question space, or if y'all don't mind, maybe unmuting for a moment and giving us a couple of words. But if you think about yourself when you're the very best with your family, what would be 3 words, or even 1 word, I guess any words, what would be the words that you would use to describe yourself when you're the very best with your family? If you don't mind thinking about it for a moment and then unmuting yourself and letting us know, we totally don't mind if your children are in the background. We stuffed ours in a closet so we could have this meeting. Just kidding. So what would you say might be a word when you're the very best with our family?
The 3 words that come up that I've used before, or and you can pull up the word bar, is patient, present, and playful. Those are the 3 that always come up to me if I'm not thinking of a business deal, if I'm playful and lighthearted, and if I'm patient. I mean, being patient is so important, especially when you have kids under the age of 5. So that's good. And fun, funny, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's playful. That's a great one. Anyone have anything else? Any that you want to share?
I think present. Did you say that?
I said present.
You said present.
Present, yeah. Playful, and patient. Those are my 3. And I'm not always those, by the way. Full disclaimer. That's what I aim for. But that's when I'm at my best. So I think that you guys would probably agree, just seeing the few that have come in. So you go ahead.
So mine would be, gosh, when I'm creative, I feel like I'm at my best. I think that to be an active parent and to be present requires some creativity. Sometimes Absolutely. You have to wake yourself up, shake it up. So that maybe would be one. Gosh, present I think is just so huge.
Yeah.
Present and patient, because children require a lot of each of those things.
So let's stick with those themes. I think that's going to be something that all of us, and talking with a lot of people out there, I know that those are ones that come up and we all struggle with from time to time. So should we just get right into the 5 action steps? Do. So I think you again should start. Let's go over our first action step, or our first principle for simplifying the holidays. What is the first thing that we do?
So we simplify, right? Okay, so we simplify our schedule and we simplify our home. Do you feel like you have so much to do? So we've got this long to-do list. There's so many things. There's, 1,000 cakes to bake today. What? I don't know if your kids ever do that to you, but sometimes they do to me. We've got this massive schedule of things. There's, the nativity that we want to do, the Santa breakfast, and the holiday this and the that. And there's all these things.
Party and travel invites to go somewhere.
And all of this is on top of your business and your travel and your family and your out of town family and all of those things that require so much of your attention. So really what we would encourage you to do is simplify your calendar. Top shelf those things which mean the most to you and to your family. So, for example, I'm a sucker for opportunities to take pictures of my children looking extra adorable. Well, my children aren't going to miss those opportunities just because I want to take a picture. So sometimes we come up with things that are just the most basic traditions. So instead of buying into going here and doing that and the rushing around of this party and that, we get really selective about what deserves our time. So we sit down for a family meeting. This is really what we would encourage you guys to do. Sit down for a family meeting. We have our family meetings once a week, usually on Sundays. And we look at our calendar from now until January. And this is really what I would encourage you guys to do, to check your calendars, sit with your whole family, and plan out what the rest of your holidays are going to look like. So I'm hoping that it doesn't look like this, because that would be really unfortunate.
Fun. That's the anxiety we're looking to avoid.
Yeah. So oftentimes, when we're overscheduled, we create anxiety and stress, not only in ourselves, but in our children. I don't know if you've ever noticed, either you go to a bunch of things and it's super exciting, whether it's Disney on Ice or Christmas tree lighting or some great party or some great travel, and your children are rotten and you feel rotten and you think, oh my gosh, but I just did this really cool, great thing for you. Isn't it awesome? And look at these great pictures we have. But everybody's miserable, and it's because you didn't have to do it, you know? So you just have to think about these things, the top shelf things, like, is this something that my family is going to miss if I don't do it? Yeah. That's usually how we gauge it. So
I can give one example.
Go, please do.
So in St. Augustine, beautiful little town where we live, there's a Christmas tree lighting. The downtown gets lit there. I actually have an office that overlooks it, and it sounds great in theory, but it is just absolute craziness. And we went last year and we couldn't get into a restaurant. The kids are melting down. And honestly, it's nicer to see the Christmas trees lit the night after when there's not a huge crowd and you can't even walk through. So we just said no. We're like, it sounds like a good tradition, but when we really were conscious about it, we're like, that's not a fun night. It's just,
we didn't enjoy it. We were like,
it's
in a
way
corner,
too much. We're like,
stressful.
it's tradition. But that was like starting off the season right for us, where I think we said no, and we're like, how many meltdowns do we just avoid for our little ones? Or, just going through uncomfortableness and being just worn down by something we didn't really want to do. Exactly. So that's just one example.
And an example of something that does work for us that I think that we would miss is we purchase a Christmas tree. The entire I say the entire neighborhood, it's our street, about 5 or 6 neighbors. We have a Christmas tree at the end of our road, and we come together as families and we decorate it. We string Cheerios and cranberries, and we make pomanders, and we do all this cool stuff, but our children can come and go as they want. We don't have to get in the car to do anything. We get to have a snack with neighbors, visit, and it kind of happens over the course of a couple of days. We know the tree is available. We go out there, and it's just incredible. It's a nice tradition, but it doesn't require much of us or of our children, and we all look forward to it because it's not rushed or hurried, and there's this opportunity to come and flow inside of it. So do you see how the two feel very different? A tradition versus, buying into something that isn't really required.
So be conscious of your schedule. And the action step for this one is doing just what we said. Literally, if you haven't already, sit down with a one-page calendar with your kids. Let them help them make the decision. We found a lot better. Like, we find out a lot more of the things we're doing right and wrong where we actually let them help make the schedule with us, and it simplifies. Don't feel like you have to do too much, but literally write this out. And then when you have it laid out, you might see, okay, I'm too overwhelmed, we're getting rid of this. Or, hey, man, this really works. And it's not that much because there's spacing and this and that, and these are the things we really want to do. And you feel like you're not missing important things. So that is action step number 1. Actually do this schedule. Sounds simple, maybe even too simplistic. It's made a huge difference for us over the last few years by doing this.
Yeah, and it's also awesome for everyone in the family to weigh in. And so if you think you have some great idea and nobody else likes your idea, guess what? You're getting booted. So it's just a great way, like you're saying, to have that democracy in action.
Good. All right. The second thing, which I think is probably one of the most important things because it's such a buzz right now. It's such an unknown. The boundaries are not clear. And that is the use of technology during the holidays. So Jamie and I, when we were preparing for this, were looking up different stats. And the stats of like how many times we check our phone subconsciously, or the average person does, was staggering. And during the holidays, when there's more stimulation, you're wanting to see what people are doing, it's even worse. And again, we are not against technology. Like, technology allows us to be talking to you. Like, you can soar up to the moon. You can get so much done with the help of technology. Like, we're with our friends right now talking about some pretty good values. But you got to disconnect to reconnect. I know you guys have heard me say that before. What we've started to look at is people saying, well, what do you want us to move to the woods and not use technology? No. But what I encourage is something we've been talking about pretty heavily over the last year, and it's called intermittent tech fasting. I think we almost pretty much made up the word. We all have heard of intermittent fasting, the new kind of health craze, where you basically only eat between like 11 and 7, and it's supposed to be good for weight loss, weight maintenance, muscle, resting of the organs, health, draining toxins, all sorts of things. So what we started to do, because in all admittance, I'm the worst of the two of us at this. If I get too into business or something like that, I'll just start checking my phone for the text. I've taken email off my phone, but social media or something like that, and it pulls you out of the moment. Again, I'm at my best when I'm present and playful. If I'm on my phone, I'm not. If my kids are on their phone, they're not. So we do intermittent tech fasting, and all that is there's certain times when we're not allowed on tech. And you guys have to decide those times. I can tell you a good friend of mine, I know Aaron, you were with me at that one dad's retreat. I love Sean's thing about the gun safe. He gets home at 5:30 and he puts his phone actually in a safe for 2 hours, a gun safe, and no one's on electronics from 5:30 to 7:30. By implementing these intermittent tech fasts, you will see anxiety go down, because there's so many of us where you're on 3 different devices, and it affects the brain. It does. And the same thing happens with our kids. The excitement of the holidays, we don't even realize it's happening. So what we found is if we just do some intermittent periods, like, hey, we're not going to be on our phones before 9:30 a.m. or 9 a.m., whatever you decide. Hey, between 5:30 and 7:30, we're fasting. No one's on their phone. And you know what? You're allowed to use it a little bit here, but no phones go upstairs to bed after 9 o'clock. You hear about the vampires where kids are on them all day. That's up to you, but we've decided we will not have phones upstairs in our bedroom areas because of we think it's too much. So what I want you to look at, again, this is a really simple concept of setting 1 or 2 spaces at least where you're fasting, where it's just totally present, playful time. No one's buried in their phone, including your kids or your teens.
You got to get everyone on board.
You have to get in. They say, well, what if your kids don't want to? Sometimes we got to do things we don't want. The thing I can tell you from playing both sides, you're not taking the phone away completely, but you're all committing to a certain time where the phones are off, where the laptop is closed.
Yeah. And children will definitely buy in more if you're leading by example. So the statistic that he referenced was that the average person looks at their phone 80 times a day. Yeah. That's like incredible to think. And think of how many times you're interrupted. Like if Jim walked into the room and said, hey, to me 80 times a day, I'd knock him out. But our phone does that to us, right? And it's so rude, and we can control it. So like you said, in our house, we just have periods of time. And it's so good. It's just so great because it gives you that time and space to just be like, yeah, I can just be right here. And that's incredible, to give your family that availability of being right there. So you're not missing the moment to play tag. You're not missing like your brain reconnecting. I'm sure there's science that, I know that there is science that goes with what happens to your brain when it has a break from the electronics or when it just has that space. And really with you leading the charge for your family of having these moments of unavailability, you're setting a great example.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll see, again, that presence and playfulness when your phone is away and you're not even tempted, because you get that one bad text or that one annoying Facebook thread that you have to respond to defend yourself. It's just not worth it. Stick to times of breaks. It does absolute wonders. Again, we're not telling you to take it away completely, but have fasting periods. So for number 2, sit down, and as a family and probably just a husband and wife, and you have to kind of delegate, I would bring them in for a little bit of opinion. Pick like 1 or 2 times where it's not okay. You're not allowed on your laptop. And again, from all the things I've seen, usually us parents are the biggest hypocrites. We tell the kids not to get on, but we're on. So we have to start by leading the example. Pick like 1 or 2 times. Maybe it's that gun safe time, 5:30 to 7:30, the phone's off.
Or maybe it's just dinner to begin with.
Yeah, like start with something
with something that you can do. So it's not about shooting for the moon. And maybe you just say, we're going to try it from now until January. So make it palatable. Sometimes kids there's that like super resistance to, whoa, you're trying to change my whole life. My friends are everything. Well, we understand that, but we'd really like to hang out with you too. So either maybe replace it with a game hour or with dinner or just something where it seems maybe a little more appetizing if you fear that resistance.
Or let them be bored. Boredom is a gift. We don't
true.
always have to be moving our brain onto something, the next thing to read, the next thing to thumbs up. Go for 1 to 2 periods of intermittent tech fasting. Write them down, stick to them, and keep the whole family, including yourself, to them. It does absolute wonders for presence, just sitting around having old-fashioned talking and just like this decompression where they're not angry that you're not paying attention. You're not angry that they're doing this. Intermittent tech fasting, give it a shot. So number 3, this is one of my favorites. At a leadership program in Dallas, Texas, years ago with some of my mentors, one of the best courses I've ever taken as a mastermind entrepreneurial course. I learned something I call it authentic gratitude. It's actually called SBI. It was a creation for how business leaders to really connect with their top team members and clients and associates by actually, yes, this was a picture
Wow
of how
them.
do you wow them. But again, this was used more for business, not for home. But again, from some of the guys that were in my class, we started to use it at home, and the results were staggering. And what I learned was, until the age of 36, I had no idea how to give a compliment. Because around the holidays, you start to get nostalgic. You might be thinking about times with your own family when you were a little kid, and maybe some of those people have passed. And we all get these moments of nostalgia where we want to say certain words or say something really, caring to our kids or loving. And us guys are terrible at it, or we just clam up and we don't want to do it. So I'm going to teach you that today. It's very simple. It's a 3-step thing called authentic gratitude. If you do these, and Jamie will attest, I think my parents will, my kids will, it is one of the most heartfelt things that you can say. It's not too gushy or mushy, but it could be, and I have done some, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
And it's very connective. So I am the king of doing the, hey, you the man, these simple, happy, non-direct compliments. I like them. They're fun, but they're the garnish. They're not the meat and potatoes. What I learned is, in order, and you see it up here now, to do a really good compliment, to express words to the person that you love, or give it, like I call it a good toast. Like, let's say you're sitting around the family table, surprise them this holiday season, just maybe your immediate family with a toast to each one of them. And what I do is situation, behavior, inspiration. Now, again, this is not my strategy. It was taught to me at the Stagen Group, but it's been an incredible thing in business for me, but even more for home.
Yeah, we've kind of changed it into being at home.
Yeah, so let me tell you how it works. So situation, it has to be a specific situation. It has to be behavior, how it makes you feel, and inspiration or intention, they say. What did it do helping you moving forward? So let me give you an example. Last month we were all in Utah for a family adventure. I was doing a keynote speech at Brigham Young University to 300 financial advisors. We got lost by the Uber driver getting there. I was almost late for my keynote. And this Uber driver was an absolute sweetheart, but he was not a Columbus. He got very lost and confused. And it was just me and my son, Leland. Leland was coming with me for the days. He wanted to work a book stand and have a rev share with me. It was a really good day, and we had a lot of fun, but it was just me and Leland. And Leland sat there and just encouraged this guy. Oh, don't worry, you're going to find it. Oh, no, you're doing good. No, I think you're getting close. And I was discussing this on stage, and they're like, give an example. And I always do. And I said, let me give an example of what happened today. And I said, Leland, there's a million reasons why I love you, but something I'm thinking of right now is today when we were with the Uber driver who was lost, you just kept encouraging him and cheering him up. And I felt so proud and so just joyful to see the type of young man you'd become with such values. And you know what? It inspired me to be a little more patient and to be a little more caring with the people that I deal with. So thank you. Now, Leland was beaming. The people are looking at now. They start practicing. Now, Leland's 13, and 13-year-olds have a good BS detector. But he can't really BS. He can BS a, I love you, you're a good son, or you're the man, because those have no substance. But if you go with these 3 parts, situation, it was a specific situation. It happened. We were in the Uber thing. He was encouraging him. Behavior, how did I feel? You can't take away feelings. I say, you did this. It made me feel like this. It made me feel proud and inspired and just joyful to see your character shining through. And then I'd say, and by you acting like this, by this situation, you inspired me to do this, to look at people more gently, to be more patient, to be more kind with the people I dealt with. Because let's face it, if my son wasn't there, would I have, I hope I wouldn't have, but if I had been, hey man, I'm about to miss a speech, you got to get me there. Where are we? So it was a major lesson for me. And when you give your kids the chance to show that, wow, I inspired you to better yourself, it's an absolute game changer. I've done this with my beautiful wife, where we've had really nice SBIs together. I've done it with my parents, the people closest to me. This might sound silly, it might sound simple, but that's why you're on with us, guys. Again, everyone's choking on content, starving for execution. You put these to work, just to a small crowd, it will make all the difference. In fact, our takeaway, do it to one person. Start with one person. Practice what I said. Again, a specific situation. How did it make you feel? And what did it inspire you to do moving forward? And just putting those 3 together, is a different level of connection, a different level of compliment, a different level of what we call authentic gratitude. That might be a buzzy word, but it really is. You are showing authentic gratitude by giving these words. So that is our part 3, authentic gratitude. You want to add to it?
I do, definitely.
Good.
I forgot to tell you on the beginning, he also will talk over me. So I'm just kidding.
I would not. No, don't.
So one thing that we've seen this used as, Jim's done it at meals where he will, almost like a toast. It's a great reason to have some wonderful wine, but just to toast, to go around the table if you're in a small group. So we did it one time. There were 5 or 6 of us at a table, and Jim actually toasted everyone. He said he gave one of these authentic gratitudes to each person. And I don't think there was a dry eye at the table by the end of it, because it included his parents, and he may have reflected on a memory. It included our sons, who I think children aren't really expecting to hear something so heartfelt and deep, you know, and you're looking them in the eye, and there's just all of this different emotion involved, I think. And it just really, it sounds so simple, but it's super profound. Another way that we've done this in a big group,
this is good,
which is a lot of fun. So we've done it in a large group at retreats or at workshops, and it's for the person to the left of you or to the person at the right. So the organizer might say, all right, before we have our meal tonight, we're all going to give
an authentic gratitude.
An authentic gratitude. And again, they may, you can guide your people, situation, behavior, and how it made you feel. Inspiration. So then, you just take turns. I would do it to Jim. Jim might do it to, Aaron. Aaron might do it to Heather. Heather might do it to Jessica. Jessica might do it to, everyone along down the lane. Yeah.
So it goes around and around.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that keeps the whole group engaged, and it's pretty interesting to hear one person say something that clear. But again, when we give people clarity of a specific situation, they know what to live up to more.
So true. That's a great point.
So, and that is something that I've seen when I give these. I don't give these every day because I think they would lose their luster.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Well, that's a hint. So see, I better be present and listening to this. But I try to do them where they're really just, they naturally come up, or there's a little bit of force, like, gosh, this is a really magic moment. Let me share some words. But people will live up to these. Your kids will want to do more of these. And it's, again, this is not some sort of like NLP tactic or something. It's just pure gratitude of something specific.
And telling someone that you inspired them is like amazing, right? To know that you inspired something in someone else is really incredible. So that's great. All right. So choose someone to do this with, or party, or toast. That's your action item for number 3.
Situation, behavior, inspiration. Specific situation, how to make you feel, what it inspired you to do moving forward. Sounds silly? Give it a shot. And again, you're going to see some major connection. It's done wonders for us. So
that's great. Next, we're going to talk about toxic environments and relationships.
This is a big one for the holidays.
Yeah, so this is huge. One thing that we've learned, I guess a few years back, we spent some holiday time feeling really rushed and shuffled. Our children were unhappy. Really what I was talking about at the beginning, where you just are overscheduled. But it wasn't because we were overscheduled. It was because we were trying to please other people and other family members. See, we have all the children. So at the time, I didn't think about, that means I have all the power, right? So I get to make the decision as to what I'm going to experience, what my children are going to experience, who they're going to interact with, where they're going to do it. And I didn't take that responsibility until recent years. So we used to schlep around, or we would go to homes where maybe it was like a museum and our children couldn't touch anything and it was super stressful, or that maybe children were seen as there to be seen and not heard. And that's just not what we like or how we feel. So
it's not very holiday-ish.
No, it's not very celebratory. So I know that doesn't sound toxic, but believe it or not, that's super toxic for your spirit, for your children. It just really changes things. So that would be one thing. Also, what about those family members that you encounter that you don't really enjoy? So,
well, I think there's 2 levels of those, right?
Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, what we've decided, I mean, there's people that they might annoy you. They might be family or close something, and they might annoy you. You might not agree on everything. There might be some difference in some core values, but really it's harmless. And we're going to talk about how to handle that a little more calmly. But then there's also people that might be family or one-off family that you've gotten together with, and they might have some things that are not even appropriate for the children. It might be,
they might ruin your day.
yeah, like just
Put loosely.
tempers, or really
Or
belligerent, heavy drinkers, or even into drugs or pills. I mean, we've all seen this. Let's be straight. And
or somebody that just you don't enjoy. They force their political agenda on you.
Someone
or
that just puts you into that. We have to be able to confidently and gently just say no.
We have to protect our energy and our children's energy. So setting boundaries. Boundaries are huge. So if you can't excuse yourself completely from an activity. So what I was going to say to you, so we found ourselves rushed and hustled, and our children were going here and they weren't being really appreciated or celebrated. So we reined it all in, and we spent a couple of Thanksgivings alone because we said, all right, if you want to see us on the holidays, you come to our home. And so believe it or not, that kind of weeded out those that really wanted to be with us versus those that it was convenient for us to go to them. It also allowed our children to have the space in their own home. They weren't being rushed around on holidays. And for me, I much preferred knowing, again, we're talking about toxic environments can also be the foods that are presented or the smells or there's so many things that create a toxic environment. And so I personally enjoy that our children, their home, it's so simplified. We're eating nourishing, healthy food that I know it is because we prepare it. The children help prepare it. And it's just a nice, non-toxic environment. My children know what to expect in that space. And then the family members know what they're getting when they come to us. It's a child-friendly space.
Yeah. And if you go to the point too of a family member, let's say, that drinks too much. And we've had that in different family members of ours, and we've just laid it down and said, if you come here, you're not allowed to drink. And that might sound, it's the holidays for you to say that.
Say, well, if you need to, then maybe you do that when you leave us, just creating those boundaries, because you have to think
without apology, and
you set them ahead of time, right? And you absolutely must. So one thing that you can ask yourself in these moments, and this isn't easy. Like, we don't pretend like this is easy. We spent a couple of Thanksgivings alone before everyone was like, all right, we'll play this game and we want to do this. And this year we had 17 people at Thanksgiving. So it works out. But you have to ask yourself, who are you putting first? So if you're gathering up your whole family and you're schlepping here and schlepping there and your energy is draining and your children are miserable, who then are you putting first? Is it your family that you're putting first, or is it somebody else's pleasure, happiness? Is it for your family, or is it for somebody else? So you have to ask yourself, when you spend interactions with people or places, do you feel negative or do you feel positive? So I've got a little checklist for you, a toxic check-in. So this will help you gear what may be good or not good for you. So do you feel better or worse around this person or in this space? So this is a good one. So when I leave an interaction, I would love to feel totally jazzed, or that feeling of like, oh, that was so nice, right? That's really what you want. And you want your children to remember these interactions, not feel like, oh, remember that one time we had to go to Uncle Joe's house? That really sucked. So another thing, do we share core values? Jim and I are really protective about spending our time and our energy with people that share our core values. I know sometimes that's hard with family members, but if you don't share core values, are your core values at least respected by the people and in the space in which you're going to? And then lastly, is the relationship balanced? Is it do you have those friends that you go to coffee and really you're just there to help them? It's not a mutually beneficial relationship. That will drain you, and especially at a time so busy as the holidays right now. And you just have to be mindful of being around people that help you feel better, that share your core values or at least respect them, and that have a balanced relationship. Yes. So this is also your action item. Do this toxic check-in. Kind of check in with yourself. Share it with your spouse, share it with your children. This is a great tool when talking to children, even little children. When you leave a play date or something like that, you can just always say, how do you feel after you play with your friend? Kind of keep it light and simple. You don't have to talk much about it, but it's just interesting to see how you can teach this to your children. It's a great tool as they grow up. I know that I never learned this, and I spent a lot of time in situations where maybe I was more of a giver, and giving is okay, but there's a time to also recharge and protect yourself and your family.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
And
Let's do the final.
Yeah.
Do more with less. And I'm going to come back to something on toxic people.
Oh, sorry.
Because no, we can do it afterwards because I know there'll be questions. That'll be my first questions. So do more with less. One of the things I found where I'm feeling happier, more complete, more energized instead of run down, stressed, or just burnt out at the holidays was keep your rhythms. Now you guys are going, oh, he's using the R word again. But I'll tell you, one thing I've learned is if I keep the rhythms that I have during the year, during the holidays, I'm more energized. I'm more playful. I'm more present. All those things. I have more patience. Like if I don't, sleeping in, all right, it's the holidays, and I don't meditate, I don't do my miracle morning that a lot of you guys know, that's going to affect me. If I don't keep date night with a question, I'm sure you guys know, again, one of the most important rhythms we have as a family is date night with a question. Jamie and I still do date night with a question right through the holidays, even Christmas week, even the week between Christmas and New Year's. I need that one-on-one time with her. And that's something that I want to stress again. If you really want to get close to your immediate family, try to have some one-on-one time with each one of them, with your spouse, with each of your kids. One-on-one time is just a magic connection point. It just gets you below the surface. It puts the magnifying glass on the relationship in a positive way. So please try to keep the rhythms that you have. Going to the gym, certain things that are just really good. If you, as an entrepreneur, don't cancel. I'm not telling you not to take downtime, but if you have an important meeting, like your meeting with your accountant or CFO or bookkeeper, just to check it over, man, keep that meeting. Don't just blow it off for the whole month. So by the time first week of January comes, you're stressed and trying to catch up on things. I've really had to discipline my ADD self to keep my highest, most important rhythms through the holidays. Because what we find is, again, we start getting on too much tech. We're around toxic people. All these things start to wear, and then we just stop our rhythms. Yeah. And when you give up those rhythms, I feel detached. I feel ungrounded, and that just doesn't serve my family.
It spins out of control almost.
Yeah,
right?
I cannot.
You missed one, you miss another, and then
can't do my best. Now, one thing, of course, and this is not a shameless plug, but I guess it is I love doing a board meeting with each one of the kids during the holidays. Now we've made it right. Yeah, we should have a picture of the book. Right? Only $9.99. But I love doing one, and we always make it some sort of theme of whatever they care about that we can give to. Leland and I have sent packages to Afghanistan to soldiers. After we went to the American Dream U event, Alden loved dogs, and we went and walked all the dogs on Christmas Eve in the No Kill shelter. We do pizzas where we buy tons of pizzas and bring them out to the homeless. We've brought them to the fire departments, the police officers, just something of giving. It doesn't have to be, but that one-on-one time is super, super magic. So if you can get some one-on-one time and keep your rhythms, again, our things are not rocket science, but again, starving on content, choking for execution. Keep executing your rhythms. It's going to bring you through the holidays a lot stronger, a lot more grounded.
You said it reversed.
Did I? Okay. That's why she's here. So as you see, you know what I meant. So keep your rhythms. Keep your rhythms, and try again, as one of our major core values with our family is get one-on-one. Slow down. Have those big get-togethers, but have some time one-on-one as well.
Oops, I messed that up. So I would also say, sorry, y'all. I don't know what just happened here. Oh, darn. Oh, one-on-one. There we go. Okay, sorry. Technology just scrambled my brain. I looked at the screen instead of doing my flow, and it totally messed me up. So I apologize. Let's start. Okay, so rhythms, yes. So things like setting office hours. One thing that we had to learn.
Yeah, don't work from home.
If you work from 9 to 5, work from 9 to 5. And then come home. Don't work just because the kids are home on the holidays doesn't necessarily mean you should be home for the holidays.
Well, either work or take off.
Yeah. So when you're
I've
home,
tried to do both, and that's painful.
Yeah, because he'll say, "Oh, I'm just going to work from home today," and so what happens is he's available kind of part-time when it works for him, and then not available when we randomly think maybe he should be available. So it just breeds disaster. So I would say, be wherever you are when you need to be there. So whatever those rhythms are, if you're gonna, over the holidays, your kids are home extra, so you're able to be home extra, set those rhythms. The tech fasting that we talked about, go ahead and set your board meetings. Keep up with doing you. Make sure you're taking your supplements in the morning. Make sure that you're still having date night with your spouse. Make sure that you're still getting to your yoga class or having your favorite latte every morning. Make sure that you are still doing those things. Same thing with your children. Don't just let everybody sleep all day long. These kind of things serve you to have the same rhythms that have served you all along. I call these islands of consistency. They're things that the children can count on. So another example, we have a weekly menu. Every Monday, soup night. Tuesday's Taco Tuesday. Friday's Pizza Friday, and so on. So what happens is even during the holidays, when you tend to lose what day of the week is it, we'll still be like, I wonder what's for dinner. Oh, it's Friday, Pizza Friday, sweet. So there are these islands of consistency, things that the children can always count on. They always get a bath before bed, or mommy and daddy always have a date on Wednesday. We always have tacos on Tuesday. These things that if you can keep those going, you're going to create less anxiety in your family because everybody loves to know what to expect. Keep doing your journal in the morning, your miracle morning, whatever it happens to be. Keep those things in place over the holidays, and don't let anything kind of shake you from that or rob you. Even if you're traveling, you can still do these things while traveling.
Yeah, agree.
That would be our big thing. So our takeaway from this is to set your board meetings.
I would say if you can do anything, do one board meeting with your kids and put on the calendar, when you do that calendar, a date night with your spouse every week. Mm-hmm. When you keep a date through the holidays and you're actually one-on-one with just your spouse, again, I'm not just saying this because you're here, but it's my most important relationship besides my own well-being, keeping yourself up. And by having that time together, one-on-one, it really does slow things down for the holidays and makes you appreciate it more and reflect more and actually be present. So I love our date night through the holidays, and we're not good at all things, or not at a lot of things, but we're really good at keeping our date night. So I really encourage that. So do those two things, and I think it'll be huge. And don't give up your rhythms, not for the holidays, not for anything, because I think it'll help keep you grounded through this, potentially busy time.
For sure. So. And oftentimes we get a little misguided and we think that the holidays are all about the kids. It's not just all about the kids. It's all about all of us. So it's really about teaching, it is that deep family time. It's a connection time. It's a giving time, no matter what, religion or belief system that you have. It's truly a time of reflection and of coming together and it's such a beautiful time, right? So let's not muck that up.
Yeah, well, and I think you're the one who pointed that out to me. We love our kids, but we all say the holidays are all about the kids. The holidays are definitely magic time to watch kids go, but it can't all be about them. You have to keep your own things, like you were saying, the simpleness of a date or a yoga class. Yeah. So if not, you're going to wear thin. So you have to still keep those islands of consistency for yourself. Absolutely. So we are going to probably answer a few questions. I already had one that it's come up to me a bunch of times because we've been, talking with some of our clients about toxic people and toxic environments.
Yes.
And they've said, okay, fine, I get it, but my brother-in-law's sister there's no way I can get them not to come. What do I do? Here's something was taught to me by a mentor years ago. Pull your dog out of the fight. So what does that mean? My mentor talked it to me last year and said, pull your dog out of the fight. It's not that important of a fight. Look at them. So what he said to me was, have you ever seen two dogs fighting? I said, yeah. He's like, have you ever seen one dog fighting by itself? And I laughed and said, no. He said, exactly. Pull your dog out of the fight. Just don't even engage it. Don't even let your dog get back into the ring. And again, we're dog lovers, so not giving dog fight type things. We have 3 at home. But pull your dog out of the fight. Don't let your dog fight with the little scrappy dog down the street. Why would you do that?
Yeah. One dog looks stupid fighting all by themselves, right? So you just kind of take yourself out of it.
So kind of my defense without putting up my dukes and getting in the ring with a toxic person is I just say my dog's out of the fight, and that really just decompresses
he just
me.
It in his head. He doesn't say it.
Sometimes I say it out loud, which is pretty weird. But and then the other thing I do is a Wayne Dyer trick. And Wayne Dyer, I remember saying he didn't get along with some of his relatives. They had, I think he said, even racist views or something that he just was totally against his core values. And he said he would just say in his head when they'd say something that really irked him, that's an interesting point of view. And so it's just disarming yourself, saying you're not in danger. This is going to pass quick. It's only for a night. There's other people to focus on. I'm going to pull my dog out of the fight. That's an interesting point of view, and just move on. And that's been really helpful for me in certain situations where I don't feel like being around a person, but I don't need to get all worked up or give them the focus.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Another question that we get is, how do you determine appropriate screen time?
Yeah, look at this.
I think this is huge.
Yeah,
so I see, Jessica, you put on here that, the iPhone can tell you how much screen time you've spent. You can even set limits on it. So, you'd have to determine what those limits are ahead of time, and how much is too much. I don't know. That depends on your family. So we do like a family movie one night a week. We don't do much electronics. So we don't own an Xbox. Our kids don't have, any gaming system or any smartphones or anything like that. So we're pretty much on like the dinosaur side of these things, and our children get self-conscious about it. But I think that unless they're using it for their business, like one of our sons loves to fish, and so he has a fishing YouTube channel. Unless they're using it really to empower themselves or to empower others, we just don't do it. But it's really a hard thing, and it just depends on your family. What's good for your family? Yeah. So really gauging what's good for your family is start to rein it in just a little bit as far as doing some of that intermittent tech fasting, and see, are you able to do just one meal without it? Are you then able to do one afternoon? Jim's gotten to where, because he really has to create deep lines in the sand, he's gotten to where sometimes it'll be a whole Sunday or an entire weekend. Sometimes an entire weekend to be super overwhelmed. And so that works really well for him. And he's like, wow. And then when he gets back on, and you've said this to me, so I'm not saying anything you haven't said.
No.
He's like, wow, I didn't really miss anything. He goes to get on social media and he's on it less because he realizes nobody needed you or missed you or did anything that exciting. Your real life is more exciting than whatever screen you're looking at. So that's a question that we get asked a lot. There is no magical answer. I think whatever is good for you, just understand that the more you use it and the younger your children are using it and the later in the day you use it, it just affects different things in your brain.
Yeah,
so
for sure. So let's finish with one more question or one more takeaway. And then I think we need to do a recap and wrap it up because I don't want to keep everyone busy.
Time. Sorry, y'all.
So what was I know there was a group of questions that came in. Was there another one that kept coming in that was heavy? Or does anyone have one that they want to throw out on the answer board? Okay.
All right. So if anyone wants to type one, we can wait
anyone
just a
minute.
Anyone
type one?
But I have a good one if you don't.
All right. Let's let you finish it out.
Well, it's a good one that I don't even have a great answer for.
Well, that's okay.
So a lot of times we get asked, what do we do for gifts? So
good one.
For not just, and I say it because it's holidays, but it could be, birthdays or anything like that. So we tend to do experiences more than gifts, more than things. Yeah. We tend to travel a lot. We tend to play a lot. And a lot of times our holiday gifts include an experience. So when it's our children's birthday, they get to do whatever they want to do for their birthday. So our second son recently wanted to do Halloween Horror Nights for his 13th birthday. So we got as many of his friends we could fit in a car, and they went down for an overnight and, had a blast. And that was his birthday present because it was just an experience. And that's something that he'll always remember. If we would have gotten him a thing, he probably would already not even know what we gave him.
Yeah.
So that's usually what we tend to do. At Christmas, this guy tends to go overboard. He really likes the idea of shopping with a bunch of crazy folks. And no, he just loves giving gifts, and it's a great time too. So I think, again, whatever works for your family. But I do know, really think about what are your children going to play with. I have a really neat story. I'll tell it fast. So super fast. Sorry. So I had a parent in one of my classes one time, and she, if you guys remember this, the Toys R Us like shopping spree, you could win a whole shopping spree where you get to take the buggy and you get like a minute or you get 5 minutes or something like that, and you just get to like push the buggy through the entire store and get whatever you want from Toys R Us. Some of you know this because I know this. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So she always wanted this because she came from, humble beginnings and just wished for all these toys. So when she became an adult, she had 4 children, and she, had money wasn't an issue. She decided she was going to take her children. Have I told you that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Was going to take her children to Toys R Us and give them this amazing thing that she always wanted for herself. So they did it, and it was amazing. And while she was in the checkout line, she's thinking, look at me. I'm this amazing parent. Look at what I did for my children. And what happened was after they got home, she went and she made her tea and she was very proud of herself and very content. You know, look at what I just did. I made a dream come true, her own dream come true, which is funny. And she goes into the living room and the children had undone all of the toys and they're in a pile and they've created like battle armor out of all of the boxes and we're tackling each other with the battle armor. None of the toys were being used of her amazing shopping spree. And I absolutely love this story because it's so true. Like we want to give our children everything, but what we really need to give our children, number one is us. Number two is experiences that they're going to remember. So
yeah, good story and very true.
Yeah.
I know them well. And I think that's a good way to end.
Yeah.
They want us more than they want the toys. Teenagers might not admit that, but true experiences.
They still want you, yeah. Do something cool with them, that helps.
Yeah, I'm not very cool, so they tell me, but I do my best. So let's do a quick recap. We are having some action steps. Again, choking on content, starving on execution. We don't want you guys to do that. We tried to keep it simple, top shelf it, and really have things that have some meat and make a difference. So the first thing that we talked about, again, remember, was the holding a family meeting and actually writing out your schedule. Put it out there. Put all those things on there and really see what are the things you want to do. And if you don't want to do it, don't. That's number one. The number two, intermittent tech fasting. It's been one of the best things for our family. Again, I would say that I was probably the worst where I can go where I'm not using it at all or I'm just nervous or worked up and I'm on it too much. And if you get like that, intermittent tech fasting can be such a balancing for your family, such a way to ground you guys and make you more aware of what's around you in a good way. Number three, authentic gratitude. Do one this holiday season. I guarantee, yeah, at least. But we're starting at low to see if you're going to like it and then do more and more. But I agree. You will like it. So do an authentic gratitude. Come back to this situation, specific situation, how it makes you feel. What did it inspire you to do moving forward? Very simple, 3 punches in a good way, loving, keeps you really connected. And then number 4, toxic environment and people.
Don't do it.
Yeah, well, think about it. There's certain ones that they are over the line and that has to be cut. There's other ones that can be set with boundaries. Pull your dog out of the fight and think, that's an interesting point of view and knowing it's a short time. But again, don't put yourself there. Like Jamie said, if you have to go there, then take my simple advice, but really look at that where it's not what the holidays is all about. So don't put yourself and feel like you're obligated to put yourself in toxic environments. And the last one, probably one of our favorites, is keep those rhythms. As Jamie said, if you're going to try to work from home with crazy kids and it's going to frustrate you because you want to be there for the holidays, don't be half in, half out. Either work or play. Don't try to do both. And keep the rhythms that are good for yourself. Your morning routine, your meditation, that yoga class, meeting up with a friend. It's not all about the kids. It's about you enjoying the holidays as well. And if you keep that, you're going to enjoy the holidays with your kids even more. So that is a wrap. And I think we kept it under an hour, which we said 45 minutes. So we kind of didn't tell the truth. Here. But we were super excited to be here.
You told a couple of long stories. It's all right.
So did you. The Toys R Us one was good, but that was a shocker. So anyway, we love you guys. We appreciate you being here.
To see you all.
Just
Thanks
remember,
for playing all out.
Yeah, simplify and strengthen. Take those things. Enjoy your holidays. Enjoy your family. And we hope to see you guys in the new year. Take care.